If you are a woman, especially a woman over 50, traveling alone in a camper van or an RV, you really need to pay attention to safety. So let me give you my 5 tips, plus a bonus tip at the very end on how to stay safe while you're on the road. Number 1, don't advertise that you're alone. It's not that I approach people and pretend that there's somebody sitting in the van, but I don't advertise that I'm by myself. If I've been talking with somebody for a little bit and I feel really comfortable, then I might tell them. But it's something that I don't do until I have assessed my surroundings and decided I'm really comfortable. It just makes you an easier target for crime if you're by yourself, especially as an older woman. People are going to assume that you're an easier target than if you have a man with you or if you're younger. And candidly, I am an easier target. I have some health issues, and I can't remember the last time I ran. I don't think I could at this point. I'm certainly not strong. I'm not in a position to defend myself. So I need to be aware of what's going on around me. And that makes me feel safe, and that makes me feel better about doing this traveling season of my life. Number 2. Choose a vehicle that you can actually go from the bedroom area straight into the driver's seat and turn the key and take off without having to go outside. Now, I know that there are people that love their travel trailers and their fifth wheels and their truck campers, and they're going to disagree. Or they may agree but say it's worth the trade-off and they feel perfectly safe. And that's probably true. They do feel perfectly safe. But if you're over 50 and you're traveling alone, especially if you're a woman, there are some real advantages to being able to walk up to that driver's seat, hop in the front seat, and drive away. The other thing that people don't really talk about is that when you arrive at a campground, let's say it's after dark, or let's say it's not a campground. Let's say it's a Walmart parking lot or a Cracker Barrel where I like to stay. You do not have to get out of your rig by yourself in the dark and do any kind of leveling or do anything by yourself. As we just talked about, it's not a good idea to advertise you're by yourself until you're very comfortable in your surroundings. But if you step outside and you're all by yourself outside doing that, everybody around you is going to know that you're by yourself. Because when 2 people are there, they're always working together to do that job. The same goes for early in the morning. If you are getting up and you are getting back on the road and you need to do some removing blocks and unhooking whatever. I don't have a vehicle that has to do hookups outside, so I'm really not very well versed in those things, but there's stuff that has to be done. And if you're by yourself, you have to go outside to do all those things before you can leave. I would say that having a vehicle that you could just get into the seat and drive away without stepping outside is a good idea. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't go outside late at night or early morning. I have dogs and they have to go to the bathroom. But I don't have to. If I felt unsafe, I wouldn't need to. I could just get in that seat, drive away, get to a place where I did feel safe, and then stop and take the dogs out. Number 3, bring some food with you. Now, I get it. We all love eating out. And actually, even though it's expensive and it's not necessarily healthy, it's kind of fun to stop and do those road trip fast food stops or go into the gas station and load up on all those things. But if you end up in a situation where you're not feeling super safe and you are really hungry and it is mealtime for you, I think it's a good idea to have some snacks, even if it's just junk food. that you can snack on to take the edge off until you get to a place where you do feel comfortable getting out and getting some food. Even better would be to have some simple things like peanut butter and jelly, some fruit, some nuts, or some things that you could stick in a cooler if you don't have a fridge, just to get you through, just in case. And it will save you money, and it may be healthier. But that's not the point of this. The point is, if you end up in a situation and you're feeling, I don't really like the area I'm in, keep in mind, you cannot go through a drive-through in a rig. You have to park and get out. And if you're in an area that you're not so comfortable, then I think it might be smarter just to find some place to stop, pull down your window shades so nobody can see inside, and pull something out of the cooler and eat a little bit before you get back on the road to find some place where you can get a real meal. Number 4, to stay safe on the road, I would say that you should be friendly, but not too friendly. It's probably not the place when you end up at a Walmart parking lot to make some friends and go sit outside in lawn chairs and drink a beer. But even at a state park, and you're in the campground, and it's wooded and it's beautiful, and you're by yourself, and there are some friendly people that are like, hey, we got a campfire going. Want to come join us? We got a few beers. You may want to join them. You may feel like, oh my gosh, that feels like it would be so fun. But it's not the safe thing to do. The safe thing to do would be to say, thank you. I think I've got some stuff to get done in here, and I'm going to hang out with my dogs. They may have the best of intentions, but if they don't, I'd rather be locked up in my camper than out there around a campfire when I figure it out. Speaking of locking up, don't forget to do that when you go to bed. Or once you're settled in to an area. It's really easy to be going in and out, doing what you need to do, taking the dogs for a walk, taking the trash out. You're good, you're comfortable, and then you just get settled in and you forget to lock the vehicle. Don't do that. Make sure, even if you have to do what I do sometimes, which is crawl back out of bed and go, did I lock the vehicle? Let's go just double check. Here's a little tip. If you really want to make sure that people think you are not by yourself, turn on a video on YouTube or on Amazon or on something where 2 people are talking, like a podcast. Since you're watching this on YouTube, I'm pretty sure that you watch some other channels where there's more than one person talking. I would turn on one of those videos where it just sounds like 2 people having a conversation, and I turn the volume up a little bit and maybe crack a window if you're stepping outside and make it sound like there's people inside talking. It can't hurt. You could even stick your head back into the door right before you shut it and say, I'll be right back, nice and loud. Who knows? It might just be the one thing that makes that person that is kind of scoping things out decide to move on. Number 5. You knew this was coming if you've seen my other videos. But if you really want to be safe on the road, consider bringing a dog. Now, I get it. Everybody's not a dog person, and that's okay. But if you do have a dog, or you've thought about getting a dog, it can actually make you a lot safer on the road. All that dog needs to do is bark a few times from inside the rig when it sees somebody approaching, and that person is very likely just to keep walking. They don't know if your dog is ferocious or friendly. They don't know that my little Josie will start licking the person as soon as they get close. Even little dogs can look pretty ferocious to somebody that doesn't want to get bit. See the fur up on her hindquarters? She's definitely not going to stop barking until that man that she sees outside goes away. And even if it's a small dog like Josie, a lot of people are actually afraid of them. They think of Chihuahuas as ankle biters and figure that that bite hurts just as much as a big dog's bite. So, yeah, if you have a dog that has a big dog bark instead of a little high-pitched thing like she's doing, that's even better. But don't discount how much this bark is going to make people walk away and look for an easier, safer target. Now, I don't suggest you get a dog just to have somebody to bark at people when you're out on the road. If you're not into dogs, don't get a dog, because it is a lifetime commitment. As somebody that has fostered over 50 dogs, and my 2 dogs were actually what we call foster fails. I took them in as a foster parent. I got all of their babies. Yes, there were 5 babies that came with these 2 dogs. I got them all adopted, and I got actually both Josie and Jasmine adopted to separate homes, and both didn't work out. And when they both came back to me and they saw each other again, I just couldn't separate them, and I decided I would keep them. That's why it's called foster failing, because you're not supposed to keep them. You're supposed to get them adopted out so you can keep fostering. And when you keep the dog, you're more likely to stop fostering, just like I did, because at that point I had 3 dogs in my house. And yeah, we just stopped fostering at that point. But I digress. That's not what you came here for. We were talking about safety. And so my point is, it's a big commitment to get a dog. If you're not a dog person, or you're thinking, I never really wanted a dog, but yeah, it might be a little safer, figure out other ways to stay safe. But if you like dogs, and maybe you've been thinking about getting a dog, but thought, well, maybe it would be just a hassle on the road, think again. It's really not that hard to manage with dogs, and I've talked about that in other videos. And I'll do another video on how to travel with pets soon. But just know that it isn't that tough. All right, here's my bonus tip. And I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, because one of the things I hear people talk about when you watch a lot of van life or RVer videos is how wonderful it is to open up the windows and get a cross breeze and hear the crickets in the background. But I don't feel safe sleeping with a window open, because it would be really easy for somebody to break into my rig. It would be nice to have the windows open and have the fan up here going, and then it basically is pushing the air out, and so it pulls in air from the outside through the window. Actually, I do that a lot in the evenings with the window right by my face at my pillow, because it just has this wonderful cool breeze blowing on me. Yeah, I don't do that when it's hot and humid outside, or when it's really, really like damp air after a rain. You don't want to pull all that air in. But last night it was gorgeous, and I loved that breeze blowing on me, and I was sad to lock it up before I went to sleep, but I don't know. I'm somebody that actually was in a house, hiding in a bathroom closet, whispering into my phone, calling 911 because people had just broken into my house in the middle of the night. I am situationally aware. And while I understand that if somebody really, really wants to get into something, they're probably going to find a way, I'm not going to make it easy by leaving a window open overnight. my choice. Think about it. So I am sure there are other great safety tips that I did not touch on. I would love to hear what you think, because I just may want to incorporate those into my routine. See you next week with another video.